Maybe he's born with it, or maybe it's a hair transplant.
A year ago, George and I flew to Turkey.
Turkey.
I changed the biggest insecurity that I had.
I'm gonna be David Beckham after this.
Turkey and a new hairline are now synonymous with each other. Each year, an estimated 1 million people travel to the country to get their hair back.
I didn't need to be a bald man.
I'm thinking of going for a second one, yeah.
Turkey is arguably the global center of hair transplants.
You get treated like a king.
But the conveyor belt of hair transplants isn't always perfect.
That happens all around the world. You can then tell the patient what they want to hear, and then if it doesn't happen, well, we tried our best.
I called the doctor in and I said, well, why aren't you doing the procedure? He said, because my girls do it better than me.
Turkey becoming the spot to get a hair transplant was totally by design. A decade ago, the Turkish government noticed this growing sector in medical tourism, which by the way includes cosmetic tourism. They set targets, they offered tax breaks, and even subsidized medical equipment. And it worked.
And now the medical tourism industry in Turkey is worth over $3 billion.
Okay.
But Jay, from when I first came for my first haircut, has it gotten much thicker or not?
It's a lot thicker. When you first came, it was a lot shorter and a lot thinner, so you can only see him, and that's all covered.
See, my heart just full now after that. I love you, Jay. I was about 15, 16, and I had the M.
If you're wondering what an M is, think Harry Styles, Jude Law, and 24-year-old Tyrone 9 months ago.
Jay, if you had an M kind of hairstyle, would you be rocking your hair right now or would you be wearing a hat?
No, I'd be wearing a hat.
And what happens if you didn't have a hat?
If I didn't have a hat, I wasn't going nowhere.
Tyrone went to Istanbul last year for a hair transplant, specifically the FUE kind.
It was probably the best decision I've ever made.
In this type of hair transplant, follicles are punched from the sides or the back of your head and implanted in the balding areas. Previously, the most popular method was a much more invasive procedure and involved cutting a slab out of your scalp to get these follicles.
Because when I first looked into it when I was like 17, 18, and I seen the massive scar on the back of the heads, I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna do that.
With less scarring, no requirement to shave your head, and cheaper prices, it's one of the reasons why it's become more popular.
Everyone always wanted to do it. It was just more about the means to do it or the accessibility to do it.
Globally, Turkey is servicing a quarter of all medical tourists in the world.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Let's do it. Some yummy food. I got quoted over here 18,000 AUD for a hair transplant, and I got the same thing over there for 2,500 AUD.
What did that package include?
The 2,500 included airport transfers to and from the hotel and clinic, the hotel itself for 8 or 9 days, and the procedure.
They sell it like a holiday.
They do, yeah. Cars I was going in were like limousines, decked out. You get treated like a king.
This type of cosmetic holiday package deal, by the way, is illegal in Australia because it's seen as encouraging a cosmetic procedure.
Immediately after I got the hair transplant, because I knew what I was going to have, I had the confidence back already. Everyone pretty much noticed the hair transplant has changed me.
Dr. Knudsen has been performing transplants for 40 years here in Australia and used to head the leading international authority on hair loss and restoration. He said as the techniques became less invasive, more people around the world, some without medical training, started doing the procedure.
The other technique is a little bit more surgical in a sense, is that you take a piece of skin out and then sew up the gap on the back of the scalp, picking up a punch. That doesn't seem so surgical.
He says driving the prices down is the use of technicians rather than a medical professional. And this is happening in places like Turkey, the UK, and even in Australia. And he's worried that profit is being prioritised.
If you have a more, shall we say, business-orientated model, you don't turn down anybody. You can then tell the patient what they want to hear. And then if it doesn't happen, well, we tried our best.
He says some clinics are overpromising results and telling patients what they want to hear just to get them through the door. Some people are walking away with unnatural-looking hairlines or less density than they were promised.
We had some clinics that are using people that have no qualifications whatsoever. I'm of the view that the ideal situation is that the doctor is the only one who's allowed to cut the patient.
That was also John's view when he travelled to Turkey in 2020 to get a hair transplant.
I did try to do it in Sydney and I just didn't have 15,000 to throw at, say, Vanity. Istanbul can be a bit of a sausage machine where they're just pumping them out because they're making so much money out of them.
You paid extra for a doctor.
Correct, yeah. It would have been another 30% on top.
So you get to the hair transplant procedure,
Yeah.
and then the doctor walks in,
Yep.
and the doctor does.
Yep. And we're like,
the
you're going to be
procedure?
doing the procedure? And he's like, yeah, all good, all good, all good. He then comes in with the anaesthetic and then he goes. I called the doctor in and I said, well, why aren't you doing the procedure? He said, because my girls do it better than me.
Only when John arrived to the clinic in Turkey was he told that he didn't have enough donor hair on his head to work with.
So they used my beard in Turkey. I felt disappointed that I didn't get the results I was promised, but I was happy with the results. They were very good technicians, so we were very lucky.
When money was no longer an issue and with his hair not as thick as he thought it would be, John went for a second hair transplant in Australia 2 years later.
Because I've already had one, there wasn't a lot they could do. Again, overpromised and underdelivered. So there's a lot of white lies, I guess you call them.
But even with expectation and reality being different on both occasions, John is travelling to Turkey this year to do it all again.
I didn't need to be a bald man. There's a big difference. I would have gone bald gracefully, but I didn't need to. We remember our 20s and 30s and go, wow, I want to be that again. I know, I'm in my 50s. You know, you start to feel like you're going backwards, as in feeling better and things like that, you know.
So it's like a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
thing?
you could call it a yeah.
I'm joking.
No, but it is kind of. I've got plenty of time to still go bald if I want to, so why do it early?